Good morning, excellent biology students. Hope you are doing fine, and I hope you are all right. I hope you had a good night's sleep. So please let me know if I am audible enough. If you can hear what I'm saying. Okay. My network is not that good, so please let me know if I'm audible enough. Please let me know if I am audible enough. Please let me know if you can get what I'm saying so we can start. My network isn't that good, but I hope we'll be able to do this. So yeah, network is really bad. It's really bad. All right, so thank you very much, my excellent students, for waking up this early. We're just 13 of us, which is not good. But when it comes to the journey of academics, there's nothing that I can really do. I will just tell you to say, oh, there's this program, and you have to show up. If you don't show up, then it's sad. It's sad. Otherwise, it's going to be a long journey. It's going to be a long journey until we write. So we'll be having live classes. I'll send the program for the live class. This is just us trying out how it can be working out in the morning, of which, looking at things, I think it's possible for us to be having these live classes in the morning. So I'll send a program for the early riser live class. Okay. But obviously, we're going to be having challenges, especially with network. So, yeah, but I just hope you can hear me, and I hope you can see what is on the screen. So the purpose of these early riser live classes are for revision. Okay. So what I'll be doing is day one, like today, I teach. Then day two, we go through past papers based on the topic. Okay. So day one, I teach. Day two, I go through past papers of the topic. But if a topic is too long, then we're going to be having day one of teaching, day two of teaching, day three of teaching, and then day four we go through past papers based on that topic. So the whole point of early rise alive classes are for revisions. Okay, we are revising. Okay, so this is not part of the normal class where we are like we're learning. So there'll be topics like, for example, but again in May we'll be revising certain topics during the early rise alive classes. During the early classes, during early classes like this one. So I hope I've made that clear. So we'll be having early riser Can I start? All right. So in today's class, we are looking at diffusion. We need to know this topic before we can go through past paper questions. Okay. So yeah, this is revision. I'll be so quick with it, and I hope we know one or two things concerning this topic. So diffusion. So objectives, we're going to define what diffusion is, and then we're going to look at the factors that affect the rate of diffusion, and then we're going to look at the importance of diffusion. These are the factors for today's live class. We're going to look at the definition of diffusion. We're going to look at factors that affect the rate of diffusion, and we're going to look at the importance of diffusion. So I hope you've got your books ready, and let's learn. Okay, let's learn. So definition. What is diffusion? Diffusion. This is the movement of particles from their region of higher concentration to their region of lower concentration. Simple definition. The movement of particles from their region of higher concentration to their region of lower concentration. What does this mean? It simply means that particles are moving from where they are highly concentrated to where they are less concentrated. That's diffusion. Particles are moving from where they are highly concentrated to where they are less concentrated. If you're cooking in the kitchen, then someone is in the living room, they are able to tell whatever you're cooking because particles are diffusing from the kitchen where you're in to where they are. So in the kitchen, that is where you're going to find high concentration of those particles. So they will start diffusing, going to the rest of the house where there is less concentration of those particles. So diffusion is the movement of particles from their region of higher concentration to their region of lower concentration. Simple. And here are some two. There are two diagrams here to illustrate what diffusion is. So if you look at the first diagram on your left, you can see that there's a line, right? There's a boundary there, and on the left side of that boundary, we can see that it is highly concentrated. On the right side, we only have three particles. Okay, and then if we look at after, if we look at the other box, we can see that now there is equal concentration. When you look at that boundary, on the left side of that boundary, diffusion has taken place. Particles have moved from where they are highly concentrated to where they are less concentrated. So diffusion is the movement of particles from their region of higher concentration to their region of lower concentration. What is diffusion? between two sides. Let me say that. Let me say that again. Equilibrium simply means equal. So when the two sides we can see another illustration of diffusion. As you can see, we've got those red dots. Then on the right side, we've got high concentration. Then on the left side, we've got low concentration. So the particles that are highly concentrated, they'll start moving to where they are less concentrated. So the whole point of diffusion is for particles to move. Okay, it's a mode in which particles move. Okay, and of which we're saying that they move from where they are highly concentrated to where they are less concentrated. That is diffusion, my excellent students. Now, let's look at the factors that affect the rate of diffusion. What you need to know is that these particles that are diffusing, they are diffusing at a certain speed or certain rate. Okay, the particles that are diffusing, they are diffusing at a certain speed or rate. In other words, tuamene tuvendera utu tuma particles, they are moving at a certain speed, of which this speed, it can be affected by different factors. There are different factors that can affect the rate of diffusion, and those are the factors that we need to look at. Okay, before I continue, are we having any issues concerning network? Can you hear me? And as you are watching, like this live class, leave a like for this live class. Okay, are we having any issues? Can you hear me? Can you still hear me? Okay, Stella can hear me. Okay, I think I can continue. If Stella has got no issues, then everyone else has got no issues. Memoy, Memoy. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Memoy, Memoy Chola. All right, audible, wonderful. So factors that affect the rate of diffusion. The first one is concentration gradient. This refers to the difference in concentration gradient between two regions. This refers to the difference in concentration of particles between two regions. This refers to the difference in concentration gradient between two regions. Now, concentration gradient, it is simply the difference in concentration between two regions. Let me give an example. And in room 2, there is a fight. Bamenyana mkati mcha. They are fighting. And then all of a sudden there's fire in room 1 where there's a couple. Then there's now smoke. In room 2, there's no smoke. In room 1, there is smoke. Are you following? So in room 1, as they are fighting, arguing, one of them just gets a, I don't know, and then whatever they did caused the fire. You know how couples behave sometimes. There's always that moment where things are just bad for in a relationship. Eh. So there's now a fire in that room, which is room 1. In room two, there's a bachelor. He's just hearing what is happening. People are fighting. So in room one, there's fire and there's smoke. In room two, there's nothing. It's peaceful. Between the two rooms, we can agree that there's a difference in concentration of smoke. In room one, there is no smoke. In room two, there is smoke. So that difference in concentration between these two rooms is what is referred to as concentration gradient. The difference in concentration between two regions. In room one, we're seeing there's smoke. In room two, there is no smoke. There's a difference in what? In concentration between two rooms. That, my excellent students, is concentration gradient. Okay. So because there's a difference in concentration, you will find that particles that are in room one, they will start moving, going into room two, because there's a difference in concentration. So the smoke which is in room one, it will start going to room two. It will start going to room two. And once room two is also filled with smoke and the two rooms are equally concentrated, diffusion is going to stop. Are we clear? So concentration gradient is the difference in concentration of particles, or in this case, of smoke between two rooms. Okay. Now, when the difference is high, when the difference is high, then we're going to notice that particles will move faster. So if the difference between two rooms is high, particles are going to move faster. So once the smoke starts in room one, they will start moving fast so that they can go into room two. But once room two is now almost filled up with smoke, the speed it will decrease. The particles that are moving from room one to room two, the speed at which they are moving will decrease. They are going to start moving faster in that class. There are 100 students out of that class. If we say, oh, students, enter this class, you find that students are going to start moving fast because they want to enter the class, isn't it? They want to find their seat in that class. They do not want to wait. But once about 80 enter that class, you'll find that even the speed now feel, because what am I trying to the rate of diffusion when it comes to concentration. The higher the difference in concentration, the faster the rate of diffusion. The higher the difference in concentration, the faster the rate of diffusion. Are we clear? Are we clear? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So concentration gradient is the difference in concentration between two regions. So if there's a difference in concentration between two regions, the particles will start moving, they'll start diffusing because they want to fill up that space which is not occupied. Okay. Now, another factor of diffusion is surface area of diffusion surface. surface area of diffusion surface. So when we're talking about surface area, imagine we've got two tables. Imagine we've got two tables. I want you to imagine. Imagine we've got two tables. One table is small, the other table is big. One table is small, the other table is big. So that table which is big, it has got a large surface area. That table which is small, it has got a small surface area. Okay. So if those surfaces, they can allow something to penetrate through them, you are going to agree with me that the large surface area it is going to accommodate more particles. If we have two tables, one table is big, another table is small. Pass through particles to penetrate through, then the one which is big is two. Those things are, yeah, we still have stools. People can sit on a table that, and then only one person can sit on a stool. So it can accommodate more people sitting on it than a stool. So it's the same thing even with particles. A large surface area can accommodate more particles penetrating through it than a stool or than a small surface area. So the larger the surface area of diffusion surface, the faster the rate of diffusion. So if particles are diffusing through they're diffusing through different surfaces, the one which is large, it is going to allow more particles to diffuse through it. Therefore, diffusion in that case will be faster. Hope we are clear. Okay. So the larger the surface area of diffusion surface, the faster the rate of diffusion. Another factor that affect the rate of diffusion is thickness of diffusion surface. Thickness of diffusion surface. Okay. Thickness of diffusion surface. So when we're talking about thickness of diffusion surface, what we're talking about is the distance a particle will move from the upper surface to the lower surface. Let me say that again. When we're talking about thickness of diffusion surface, we are talking about the distance particles will move from the upper surface to the lower surface. So, if the distance from the upper surface to the lower surface is thin or it is short, then particles will diffuse faster. But if the distance from the upper surface to the lower surface is thick or long, then particles will take a bit of time to diffuse from the upper surface to the lower surface. Okay, so thickness of diffusion also affects the rate of diffusion. In other words, if the thickness is thin. If it's thin, if the diffusion surface is thin, then particles in the nuclei or the air sac, they are one cell thick, meaning they have so thin that particles would diffusion. How does it affect? Increase in temperature, increase diffusion. When temperature is high, particles tend to diffuse faster. The higher the temperature, the faster the rate of diffusion. Because in October it's hot and particles can. Are we clear? Are we clear? So higher temperature, the higher the rate of diffusion. Another factor is size of diffusing particles, the particles that are diffusing, okay? The particles that are diffusing. So the bigger the diffusion particles, the slower the rate of diffusion, or the slower the diffusion rate. The smaller the diffusing particles, the faster the diffusion rate. Okay. Can a stone be a diffusion particle, sir? No, 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 no. No, it cannot. Particles that can diffuse are things like sugar can diffuse. Okay, even a stone if it's made out of sand, because the whole point of diffusion is particles are supposed to fill other spaces. So like perfume, particles can diffuse. Okay. As a Someone to confirm if you can hear what I'm saying. Am I audible enough? Can you hear what I'm saying? Yeah, it's tripping. All right, so let's quickly look at the importance of diffusion, then we can call it a day. Okay, the importance of diffusion. So diffusion is important in living organisms in the following ways. Number one, oxygen moves from the lungs to the blood and from the blood to the tissue cells by diffusion. So one of the reasons why diffusion is important is because that's a process by which oxygen moves from the lungs into the blood. And then carbon dioxide moves from the tissue cells to the blood and from the blood to the lungs by diffusion. Another importance of diffusion is that it is a process by which carbon dioxide moves from the tissue cells into the blood and from the blood into the lungs. Another importance of diffusion is that uh, dissolved food moves from the blood into the tissue cells by diffusion. What we mean by dissolved food is this, my students. When you eat food, it will go into your stomach, right? When you eat food, it goes into your stomach. And then when it is in your stomach, there will be a process of absorption. The nutrients, once it reaches your stomach, it will go into the small intestines, and then there will be a stage of absorption. During that stage of absorption, the nutrients in that food are being absorbed. They are taken up by the body. And they are absorbed by what process? They are absorbed by the process of diffusion. Okay. So nutrients are absorbed by the process of diffusion. Therefore, dissolved food moves from the blood into the tissue cells by diffusion. And again, the process of absorption occurs by the process of diffusion. So the nutrients in the food that you are eating, they participate in reactions. And these reactions occur in tissue cells. And these nutrients, they are carried or transported by blood. Therefore, they have to diffuse from blood going into the tissue cells to participate in the reactions. They diffuse from the blood into the tissue cells by the process of diffusion. Then metabolic wastes such as urea, okay, move from the tissue cells into the blood by diffusion. Urea is a metabolic waste. Carbon dioxide is another metabolic waste. By the process of diffusion. If you look at plants, they need carbon dioxide by diffusion. Are we clear? Are we clear? So I think we're going to end here for today. Um, the network is really so I think thank you very much for tomorrow. I hope it will be better. I'll switch to another network, maybe Airtel will be better because right now I was using the MiFi. So maybe I should use Airtel. Hopefully it will be better tomorrow. Otherwise, thank you very much, my excellent students, for joining. Even though we are a few, I really appreciate. Thank you for the sacrifice. So I'll see you tomorrow for the early riser live class day 2. All right. Have a good